So these are the topic, right, which we are going to discuss today. First, we are going to do, there are three segments: database, right, services. Okay, just overview. I will be telling you what is the database, right? We have what is the database, RDS, okay, and other thing. Okay, yeah. So okay, let's start the session, right? Database services in the AWS, monitoring, logging, and services, right? What are the cloud trail and all those kind of things. Okay, I will be providing you an just a brief introduction about it, what it is, and we will be doing little bit of an hands-on thing in the CloudWatch. Okay, just showing you, just we will be making you familiar with this thing, this CloudWatch part, that how it looks like and all this kind of thing. Okay, and then we have AWS networking also, the third segment of the today's session, in which we were talking about the networking in the AWS, right? If two resources are there, two services are there, if they want to communicate with each other, how will they will be doing that? I will be introducing to the VPC. Very important concept, guys. Very important. Trust me, this particular concept you will be finding even in the basic course as AWS practitioner, which is just an entry level course, to the advanced course like the security, AWS security specialist, and all this kind of thing. So it is a very deep, very broad, and trust me, you can have a 4 hour, even 30 hours of session completely dedicated for the VPC, and still some topics would be left. So this is so broad, so vast, right? Okay, and trust me, if you mastered VPC, you have mastered the almost, right? Almost you have mastered the AWS infrastructure. It's so important. The IAM, identity and access management. Okay, in I think in the second day I kind of shown you and made you familiar with the IAM part, identity and access management. Today I will be many people were requesting that, Amit, can you provide us about little bit more exposure about the IAM part, because it's very important. Because at that particular moment I just kind of shown you a photo of what it is, how it the that particular dashboard really looks like of the IAM, identity and access management. But today I will be doing a little bit of a hands-on thing in the IAM as well, right? Yeah, so you get an understanding about the IAM part. So the IAM and the VPC are a very important topic in the AWS, right? Yeah, and then we will be talking about a little bit about the general topic, which is called the VPN. In the AWS, we have something which is very important, VPN concept, but I will be not going into that much of detail. But generally, what is a VPN, right? How it works, and what importance does it hold, right? All this kind of we will be discussing. So this is a kind of today's agenda. Okay. So let's start with the databases. Okay. Actually, what the database means is that, it is an organized collection of data stored. Okay. So you are a kind of keeping the data, right, in that particular server, and you're organizing it. Okay. So whenever you want something, you can easily extract it, and you want to, insert something, you can easily do that as well. Okay. Collection of data, but in a kind of a systematic way, you can also say, right? Not just randomly anything, you just not taking any name, some identity proof or something like that and just inserting inside the database. No, in a much more organized way. If you have ever worked with the SQL, right, structure query language, we have that, columns. There is a column, there is a row. Okay, so a column would be dedicated for the name of the employee. You will be entering the name, right, in that particular thing. So it is kind of an organized way. It looks beautiful. It is easy to maintain, manage, right? Easy to, if you want to make any kind of a modification, or you want to update the database, it's quite easy. Okay, that's it. So that's your databases. Okay, so there is thing which is called database as a service, right? And one more thing before when we are talking about the database, there's a very important thing. Previously, guys, in the, I think in 2010 or 11 or 12, approximately at that period of time, the companies like Facebook, Google, all of these big giant, particularly the Facebook is blamed for that particular practice a lot. So what they were used to do is that they used to store the information of particularly the information of related to the password and the username I was talking about, right? Specifically username and a password. So there are huge allegations against the Facebook, right, and the subsidiary of the Facebook as well, that they kind of practice these things, that they stored the username as well as the password. This is very important credentials of their users in the database, okay, which everyone does, but in a plain format. So the danger for that is that if somehow, right, if due to any reason there is an attack happens over that particular database, so what is going to happen is that that particular database is being compromised, right? Yes, and all that, and the attacker is able to access all the information inside that, all able to extract or gain, see all the information. So because the information was present there in a plain language, right, in a plain text, so it is quite easier for the hacker to gain it. But now what they have done is that now every organization across the globe, like we can say all those reputed organizations, right, there are still some organization which uses this particular thing, and it is, to be very frank, it is disastrous. Still the organizations which uses, they have kind of upgraded, and now what they have done is that they have added a new feature. So what they have done is that then a kind of new practice, you can say, that before, for example, there is a password of my, like 123 is a password, okay, hypothetically I'm saying 123 is my password of my Facebook, and let's say Amit is my username. So before saving inside that particular database, my password 123 would be converted into something which is called the hash. It is converted into a hash format, and then that particular hash format is then, kept inside that particular database. Okay, so now not in directly they will be keeping it up. They will be just first taking you know a name and or a username or something like that, very critical information. Then using some kind of a hashing algorithm, they will be converting it. So for example, this is my 123, what is my password, right? And then they will be converting this thing into some kind of hash, and then they will be storing this hash. Okay, so the question is that my password is something else, the hash is something else, okay, right? So you will be asking, Amit, how would they, you know if next time I want to log in, right, how would I do that? So for that, what is going to happen is that the moment I am again, so this is my hash, this could be a very secret code of this 123. So if the attackers even able to gain an access to the database and even steal this hash, they are, to be very frank, if you have used the good algorithms, it will take them many years, right? Many years from a normal computer to get to my password. Okay, right? That's it. So what I will do, so if I be logging again, what we'll be doing is that I typed 123 in the in the field where they ask for the password. Then it's converted into the hash format, and this hash that I have entered and the hash that is already present in the database would be compared. If the hash that I have that has been created right now and the hash which is present in the database both are same, I will be allowed the access. Otherwise, I will not be allowed the access. Okay, so this is how the logging take place whenever you log into any website. Okay, any website. Even for this particular session also, this would have taken back, in the backend, right? Yeah. So this is it. This was about the database. So there's a thing which is called database as a service. Okay, like we have infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, okay, software as a service. The same way we have something also which is called the database as a service, right? So what happens? So this is kind of a model that's provide you, the particular users, the clients with a managed database environment. So, but in this particular model, what happens is that the cloud service provider, so if you want to convert the plain text into a you can say hash format, there is a thing like MD5, SHA-1, SHA-2, right? Okay, all this thing you can do. And if you want to decrypt it, there is something which is called the rainbow table. Okay, so that is one of the methods that the attackers use. They can use multiple ways, but rainbow table is a kind of a thing which is used. Okay, right? Yeah. So what happens in the rainbow table is that what they do is that if they are successful in decrypting a, just let me draw this diagram. Yeah. So for example, if this is my password 123 and the hash is like MP, 907 something, it would be very big. Okay, this is my hash, this is my that particular password. So after many years or many months, they are able to decrypt it, and now they are able to find it out. So what they will be doing is that attackers would be maintaining a database where they will be having in one row about this particular my hash, and then other the plain text, right? So this is called your rainbow table. So this is one of the way they able to get your plain text. Okay, so they kind of share the information, right? And there are multiple other ways as well. Okay, yeah. So database as a service, what happens in the database as a service is that, in the database, the cloud service provider, right, manages the database, manages the particular database infrastructure, right, including the server hardware, software installation, then the maintenance of the servers, right? While the user, particularly, they focus on the application and the data, like little bit about like as a PaaS, not completely, but little bit. Okay, so where the particular your um, provider would be worrying about everything, patching it up, securing it, and all those kind of things. They will be doing it. Okay, the hardware, taking care of the hardware part, taking care of the software installation, right, maintaining it, all those kind of things they will be looking into. But the application and the data, it is your headache. Definitely you will be deciding what the application would be and what the data should be. Otherwise, other than that, your storage and all those kind of would be provided by the or maintained and taken care by the cloud service provider. That is something which is called database as a service. Okay, so database as a service is, it's a very useful thing. Many organizations I have seen, they have used it. Okay, so what they do is that it's kind of provide, it's very cost effective, right? Because now it's not your responsibility that you will be fixing up the issues with the database, because trust me, there are a lot of things that really comes up issues with the database. One of my friend was there, and he was, there was an I think in Delhi there was a kind of a startup was there. Okay, and that particular startup, or it was a very small organization, right? They were just starting it up, and there was something related to maintaining the database, something like that. Machine learning was that. So he was given a responsibility to maintain a database, because at the end of the day, all the things that the machine is processing, gaining information, learning from the database only, right? He's processing on anything, so it is inserting inside the database, want to extract something, extracting from the database, like that. So he was, the job was very good, but what happened is that there was some kind of family function, and he was completely out of the state, right? He was not in Delhi, he was somewhere in southern part of the India, right? And then at the middle of the night, his boss called him and says that, the database is not working properly, can you come right now? So what it was that, it was at least 2 a.m., right? He packed his bag 4 a.m., then he was the flight, and then then he has to cancel that particular family function, and then he has to come back to again to Delhi, because the servers were absolutely not responding. They were not even, at least 90% of the failures of the servers, so they were not responding. So it was such an important thing. And if your server was not responding, so was the machine, and the software were not responding, because they were at the end extracting the data from the database. Okay, so that was a big thing. So that's why maintaining a database is a very critical and a crucial thing, right? In an organization that's related to the, which are related to the AI or machine learning, all those kind of thing, right? Because if your database stops, all other components related to it would also stop, right? So that's it. So that's called a database as a service, right? That's why many organizations uses it, because so now you only need to focus upon your data, application, all this kind of thing. Other than that, doesn't mean. So see here, DBS database as a service became increasingly popular due to the ease of use, right? Very, very important thing is that it is right, definitely flexible and scalability. Okay. So it allows businesses to rapidly deploy database without an significant upfront investment. Okay, so because if you want to kind of purchase a database, it will definitely for sure a good configuration, 7 to 10 lakh rupees for sure. A server you have to install, and then definitely it would be electricity bill and multiple other things would be there, additional costs as well. But if you use database as a service, you does not need to worry about is anything about it. Okay, with a minimum amount, you are able to deploy a database server and just insert your data and all this kind of thing you can do, right? This is a database as a service. So now exploring database in AWS, right? There are many. I have just here given 3 to 4, but trust me, there are many database services which are present in the AWS. Many, plenty of it. Okay. So before that, guys, you need to understand something which is called the database. Okay. And there is something which is called DBMS, right? It's a database management system. Database is like, organizing that information. For example, like, okay, just let me, like, this is one of the table. Okay. If you have ever used SQL or any other kind of, so you will be seeing this particular table. Inside this table, you will be having multiple rows and columns. Let's make it. Okay. This is it. And let's make it. Yeah. So here you will be writing the name of the employees, then the ID, then the phone number, right? Then you will be writing X, Y, Z, and something like that. You're organizing it. This is the database where there is a piece of a data and that particular piece of a data is organized. Okay. So guys, again, so if this is the database of an employee and this is a name, this is the ID of that particular employee. This I is the ID, the P is the phone number. X is the name of an employee, Y is another name of an employee, and Z is another name. Okay. And I have some kind of information here written about the identity, like the identity card. Okay, identity number given by the organization. Good guys, right? It's a relational database. What is a relational database? Relational database means is that all of these things are kind of in a relation with each other. The name is in relation with identity. Whose identity it is? This particular person. Whose phone number it is? This particular person. So all of these components are in relation with each other, right? Right. So what is an identity? This particular person should be right. So the common is that particular name, that particular person. His name is there, his ID is there, and this phone number is there. That is called your relational database. Okay. And non-relational, when you know still there is a database there, but there is no no relation is between that particular data present there. Here you have three for a particular person. Like for example, this X is me, right? For my protecting my identity, I have just written there X. Okay, so this is of me. So this my name, this is my phone number, this is my identity, and so it's all belong to me. So I am the common key, right? That's the relational database, guys. Okay, whenever you will be going into the database part, trust me, the very first thing you will be coming across is what is a database, and the second thing would be what is a relational and a non-relational, non-relational database. So the non-relational database is that if you know uh, if all the components are not correlating with each other, right? There is no common key, right? That is called your non-relational database. Okay. So in AWS we have multiple databases in place. We have RDS, which I will be showing you, this relational database service. Okay, right? RDS is that which I will be showing you, this RDS part, how it looks like in the context of the AWS. Okay. And then we have DynamoDB. I will be also showing you kind of thing about it, right? This is also in today's session, this RDP as well as the DynamoDB, right? So let's not go inside it, which I will be covering in the within few minutes. Okay. Then we have these Aurora. Okay. So it is SQL and post SQL compatible, right? Relational database, right? And which is designed particularly for high performance and availability. Okay. And there is document which is called document DB, right? So it is fully managed document database. And there is something which is also called as the Amazon key space, which is also called as Apache Cassandra, right? So it is also, fully managed Cassandra compatible database service, right? You will not be seeing much this thing, right? But this is also, and many other, right? I have just named 5, but there are multiple database services present in the AWS, trust me, multiple, okay? Right? So the thing is that you does not need to learn each and every database, okay? Right? Or you does not need to use each and every one of it. Based upon your particular requirement, you will be using it, right? Let's say, let me show you again with that particular diagram. It's very, very important thing, okay? Because people, what they think is that when they are new to the cloud or any other technology, whether it's machine learning or anything it is, they think that we will learn everything. And that's, to be very frank with you guys, this approach is catastrophic. If you think that I will learn everything, every piece of software person, if you're specific about a software or a resource, that's good, no problem with that. But if there are multiple if there are 10 services present only related to the database, and you're saying that I will be learning all the 10, trust me, it is completely waste of time, because till the time you will be reaching and learning all those 10, many of would be outdated and would be removed by the provider, right? And it will be all, or what happens is that they will be completely restructured, right? Completely, that you have to even start from again from zero. So it's always a bad idea to learn multiple resources which works in the same parameter. Never do that. Pick any 3 database services, right? Particularly this RDS and DynamoDB is good one, right? If you're good with it, you will try, within few hours, you will be easily able to catch the other databases as well, right? If even that's the requirement, okay? So based upon your requirement, you have to choose that, right? That is the thing. Okay, guys. So this is the AWS account. I think till now you are very familiar with it. So see, this is I'm telling about. This, the moment you click on this particular thing service, see multiple services are placed, right? So you does not need to learn each and every one of it. Okay, doesn't mean that like you are working the database. See, many there would be a particular database. Okay, this is a database. You click on it. See, these many are present there. RDS, QLB, QLDB, Neptune, right? Keep space, Elastic Cache, DynamoDB, Document DB, right? Amazon Time Stream, right? These many are there. Based upon your requirement, right? Based upon your requirement, because see, at the end of the day, all of them have different functions, right? See here, it is written in a short descriptive format. Subhadita, it is written like in the RDS, it is written manage relational database services. Okay, here it is written, and in the Amazon QL DB, it is fully managed ledger database. Okay, here it is written in the Neptune fast, reliable graphic database built for the cloud. So based upon your requirement, okay, that's it. You go down, just scroll up, and you can see multiple. DynamoDB manages NoSQL database. Amazon Document DB full managed MongoDB compatible database services, right? All those kind of things. Okay, so based upon your requirement, you will be choosing. It does not go ever into learning all of these things till the time you are a trainer, right? Then only it will make sense. Okay. Otherwise, you are working in a database and you have no interest in learning about the artificial intelligence, or you have no interest in learning about machine learning. So don't, does not, it will be completely waste of time and money, right? You're still learning machine learning. If it's not your job requirement or you're not interested by yourself. Okay. Yep. That's it. Okay. Now we have something which is called AWS DynamoDB, or you can say Amazon DynamoDB. Okay. Very interesting thing. First of all, it is fully managed, right? So you have a database. So right, the Amazon DynamoDB by itself is a database. Okay. So, inside that particular database, what we do is that we create table. Inside the table, we have items, okay, like your employee details or something like that. And the information about the employee is called the attribute, okay. So these are things. So there is table, there is item, and that is attribute. So inside the database. So this Amazon DynamoDB, right, is a database, right? Like I in the previous example I've shown you, there is a database about the employees. Like I was the employee X, there was some kind of an ID for me. Then there was a phone number was there also, right? That is your Amazon. That is a kind of a database. So like that, there is another kind of there are multiple kind of database present there. We are not talking about the database management services. I'm not talking about the SQL and all those kind of thing. I'm just talking about right now about the database. So this Amazon DynamoDB is a database, right? Remember this thing. I have seen people getting confused in database and database management system. Database is a collection of multiple data in a row and a columns, right? But when you are using a software, this is your database where you will be having rows and columns in place, right? And you will be having data inside this particular row and column, okay? Like if you have recalled that in your school time, right? I don't know whether you haven't seen that particular thing in the college, but I have particularly seen that in the school time, there was something a registered was maintained, attendance register. Remember that, the guys? That thing, attendance register. Yep. So that every day a class teacher would be coming up, right, and that would be taking up the physically there would be a register in place, right, and they would be opening up that particular register, and then register just they would be seeing Amit Pandey, and then they will be writing P for present and A for absent, and at the end of the month then they will be calculating what is how much I am present, right? Yeah. So that's what the thing, right? That is, you can also, that's a database. Data is present there when I was, present in the school, where I was in the sick leave, there was some kind of functions. I have something like that. Okay. My attendance was there. Some kind of information was there. It is organized. That is the database. But the software that is used, it is called DBMS. Okay. Database Management System. Okay, the software which is used to manage the data, it is called the DBMS, database management system. Like the SQL database management system, that particular thing is SQL is used for managing the database. You can insert a new column, right? There is a new student has joined our class, you can insert that as well. If somebody has left due to there is a transfer, right? Somebody has left the school, so you can remove that as well. Anything. So for managing, modifying it, right, that we have a software which is called the DBMS. So very important thing, guys. Trust me, when you will be going for any kind of an interview or something like that, it looks very, very basic. But trust me, I have seen people really getting confused into it. Right? When I by myself also takes an interviews, okay, for freshers, I ask this question for sure because I have seen people doing this mistake. That's why from my own experience and from mistakes that I have seen people doing, I see this. So DynamoDB, okay, this DB is the database, remember this. So whenever you see DynamoDB, this is a database, right? This is a place where the information is present. It is not a software. Remember this thing, okay? Because to be very frank with you, if any of you approach me or we are taking an interview, and trust me, this question I'm going to ask you for sure. In every interview, right, I ask the candidate about this particular question. What's the difference between DynamoDB or this particular, whether DynamoDB is a database service, or whether it's a database or a database management system, right? And I've seen many people really get confused into it. Yeah. So this is a a kind of a database in place where you can put all of your information, right? So you can directly go inside it and you can start creating the table, because at the end of the day, inside the database, what you have the data in which format? In an organized format. How? Through a table, right? How you will be having an organized format? Through a table, right? Like for example, if So first of all, how it's in the table, right? And how the table is formed through a row and columns. Okay, that is it. So this is about the DynamoDB, right? There are multiple others database present in the AWS, but trust me, this one is very famous. Okay, if you go and you talk to any cloud person or any other person who has ever worked in the cloud, this database, trust me, that there's a huge possibility out of 10 people, 8 would be saying that, I've heard about the DynamoDB. Even they have not even worked over it, but this is very, very famous, right? Yeah. So this is a database. What you can do is that you can create a table inside it, right? And you can insert your data as well, right? And what you can do inside this particular database, you can have, you know, you can make tables, right? Multiple tables. You can make table 1, table 2, table 3, depending upon your requirement. Okay. So inside the table you will be having, so this is the table 1, and inside the table you will be having something which is called the items, right? And the info, like for example, if this, the table is about the employee. So if this is a particular table with the name of employees detail, okay. So, it will be having a lot of information about the employees, right? So this is the item, and attribute is, the information about the employees, right? Rest of the information about the employees, the phone number and all this kind of thing would be the attribute. Okay. So normally what we do is that if you have DBMS, this database, yeah, sorry, I just, yeah, DBMS. If you have DBMS, right, database management systems in place, what you will do is that you will install this particular thing, create a database inside it, right, and then create a table. If you have ever used SQL, what you do, you install the SQL inside your particular system, then you create a database, right? I think the command was create database, I think. Long back I created used SQL. I forgot the command part. It was like something create database, and then you will be entering the clicking on enter, and it will be database would be created, and then you will be just creating the table inside the particular thing. Okay, then the database would be created, and then you will be creating the table, and then you will be like the command was something like insert something. Okay. Okay. So many of you were asking me that, Amit, how do we identify that which database to choose? Because if you have shown us in the particular, I have shown you right now in the my particular account, or in your account also, you can go and just click on all services. In the left hand side, you will see database, click on it, and you will be able to see multiple databases, right? So how would you able to find out which one is good and which one, which one you want and which one you do not want? Because everyone has different function to play, right? That's it. So that what it means. Purpose built database. It means you have database for different purposes, as a name suggests by itself, right? So database is there, but for different purpose. You have a database in place. Okay, just forget for a minute this particular diagram. Yeah, forget for a minute about this diagram that you're seeing in front of your screen. Let's say there are two organizations. Okay, one organization is like, one is your school. Okay, there you are also maintaining a database. The data would be about like the marks of the students. Okay, and that would their parents contact detail if there is some kind of an emergency, and the staff or the teachers would want to contact them. That kind of information would be having. So that's the one thing, right? So that's a database that you have built purposely for your requirement. You want a database for managing all the day-to-day activities of a school or a college. So what could be thing in, would be there, you want to store in the database about a school or a college, like for example student detail, mark sheet, right? Or all those kind of things, right? Parents detail, parents contact number, address, right? The vehicle which is used to come. Yeah, multiple things, mark certificate and all those kind of things, right? Multiple things could be there. And there's another organization, there's an organization which is a software company, right? Which is having a different database. In that particular database of their employee, they are having also, you know the name of the employee, right? Address, contact number of the employee, okay, and their previous job, right? And their the salary that could be also there. Multiple things could be there, right? So two organization has built the database. Both are using the database, but for different purposes. One is handling, the queries and tasks related to the schools and colleges, and another one is kind of dealing with your particular software part, okay, or their employees, the health of the employees, their insurance part, okay, and multiple other things are there, right? So about that part. So that what is in the purpose built databases, right? Okay. So you can see just an overview here, right? See Aurora and RDS, common use case, lift, shift, and this is right, and relational integration as transaction. Okay, this right. So if you want to use graphical part, you can use Neptune. In the memory part, this is memory DB is much more good. If you want to have much more, related to the memory part in your database. Okay, if you want much more graphical representation, you can use the Neptune, right? So the for that thing. Okay, so DynamoDB if you want to use, right? This one which I have talked about right now. So see here, high throughput, low latency, read and write, right? One of those kind of things is that's why this DynamoDB is very famous, right? So multiple things are there. Just even this in this photos, there are few of them. You can have plenty of the database in place. Okay, see in the Neptune one also, this is also very famous, right? Quick and easy to create and navigate relationship between the data, right? So based upon your requirement, you have multiple databases in place, and these all are the key features. Some is good in graphics part, some is good in memory, some is good in organization and all this kind of thing, editing, right? Multiple things are there, right? Okay, so this is called your purpose built database. So like for example, again, let me tell you another example. Let's say I create a database, okay, in healthcare, all right, which is that particular database is created in that when the particular person was creating the database, so he was having that particular thing in mind, that this particular database would should have handled a large volume of the patient data, right? And which should be compliant with the privacy regulation, because at the end of the day, all the information which is generated in the hospitals, this is the PII, personal identifier information. So the database should be created so that it should fulfill that compliance with the privacy regulation, right? And integrate with other healthcare systems as well, because the person, if he wants to switch, right, to other, if he's not satisfied with your hospital, then he wants to switch to another hospital, so it should be compatible with other as well, right? So that could be a thing. So that's a purpose-built database, right? That is specifically designed and optimized for your particular application or particularly your use case. So all these kind of things you have to keep in mind for the purpose-built database. Okay. Yeah. So then there is something which is called the RDS, Amazon Relational Database Service. Okay. So this RDS, right? It is a DBMS. Okay, it's a DBMS. It's a database management system. Okay, yep, right. So that was DynamoDB. It was a database management. Fine. Now there is another which are talking about, which is called the RDS. RDS is Relational Database Service. It is a DBMS. It's a database management system. Again, remember this thing. It's a database management system. Okay, right? This is the DBMS. So this RDS supports multiple databases. It supports like MS SQL, MySQL, right? This Postgres SQL, Oracle DB, AWS, Aurora, all those kind of things are there, right? I will be showing a hands-on thing, a little bit short hands-on thing about the RDS part, okay? How it's done and all those kind of thing, okay? So again, the question arises how to choose the right database service. As I told you, how to choose it based upon your requirement. Okay. And your requirement can change so that the database also can change. So you will have a lot of people in your organizations specifically for the database. Why? to protect the database, right? Because at the end of the day, all the information are kept where? About the organization, personal information about the employee or related to anything, where? At the database, right? Database is kind of, that particular, a very a locker where very critical information are kept. Okay. So the all those people, all those engineers, what their job is that they need to protect the database, build the database, keep on updating if there is any kind of a problem. There are backend engineer, right? That's what the word I was searching for. Backend engineers, right? They are completely a backend engineers are there. Completely their job is to, do all these kind of things that are in place, and particularly they focused upon the database, right? So how the things that the clicks that you made on the website, the graphics that's coming, how that particular thing would be doing in the database, how to make that secure as well. If there is any vulnerability, how to stop that particular exploit or particular breach from expanding to other databases. All those kind is the headache of somebody in your organization. Okay. And again, remember this thing, technology keeps on evolving, things keep on changing. The things that are you're learning right now within few months, right? Or even few years, it will be completely outdated and replaced by something new. So that's the thing. So that's the thing also applies in the database. So you have a database in place in your organization. Because I have, faced this particular thing in my with myself as well. So there you have a database. Okay. It was database is maintained somebody by somebody organization XYZ. Okay. And that organization is maintaining it, updating it, patching it. All you're doing is that you're using it and just storing the information. You have a physical that hard. Okay, that particular physical server. Now really what happens is that now that particular organizations comes up and says that from now onwards we are not going to provide any technical software update related to that particular database. We are not going to do that now, right? Definitely, for sure. Now it's a you are not having any kind of a patching or something like that, right? Or there are some many people are using some legacy softwares in place which have we for them there is no kind of a update or something like that, right? So that is a very scary situation. So now your particular PC, which is not having any kind of an update or something like that, there would be no update. So it's a legacy software, legacy machine. Okay. No update, nothing is going to be there for it. And so it's vulnerable, right? So for that, what you will be doing is that you will be bringing some new latest machine and then moving the data which is present in the legacies of that particular database to the new one. That's also kind of an headache. Okay. And if that machines are completely different, trust me, I have worked with a kind of a scenario in my one of my projects, that there was I have to transfer the data from one PC one from one server to another server, and in first server it was 20 years back, and the machine which from in which I have to enter, it was the latest one. So the data was stored in a machine which was 20 years back technology, and the machine from in which I have to enter now, that paste it or move that particular data, it is the latest one. So the difference was of 20 years, and they were both were not compatible. So you have to put three software, multiple machines in between them. Then you have to make a chain, okay, and then you will be able to extract bit by bit, and it is dead slow. Trust me, the things you could do even for 5 minutes, just you can GB of data, you even I would say TB of data within a half an hour. Even today's world, SSD and SSD are so high, you will say performance wise, and half an hour you will be able to extract even 10 TB of space from one system to another. But for the GB, it was taking days. It was a nightmare. So that kind of thing also you've seen on in the organizations as well. So you have to take care about that as well, right? Okay. Yeah. So now let's do some hands-on thing with the SQL database. Okay, again, guys, I am asking you, what is this as this RDS database? If is it a database or it's a DBMS? It is written there, database. So is it a database or a DBMS? What do you guys think? Perfect, perfect. Right? Good. Very good. Right? Yeah. That's the reason, with the name, this name is confusing. This RDS database. Okay, so looks like the database, and many people just look into it and say that this is a database. No, it's not. It's a DBMS, database management system. Okay. So this is how it looks like, right, from the picture. And just let me switch into my AWS account. Just give me a minute, guys. Okay. Yeah. So this is you will be getting in front of you, right? So you scroll down and here you will be seeing something which is called, see, create a database, right? So now we are going to, you know, use the database. We are going to create a database, right? Okay. So this Amazon relational database service, see here it is written, make it easy to set up, operate and scale a relational database in the field. It means it's a software. It helps us to maintain and organize and edit all this kind of thing inside the database, right? That what the RDS does, right? Relational database does. Okay. One more thing, very important question, again a very basics one from previous session I'm going to ask you guys, okay? Because I'm in middle also, I'm doing some revision work as well, because I think that from my particular perspective, that you should know till now. Guys, what is the location of my, see here, Hyderabad. You will also see AP South, right? That's the thing. And you will be getting confused which AP South. So you have to say AP South 1. Okay. In particular, my account, it's not, right now it's by default, the Hyderabad is not there. If I raise my query with the AWS, so definitely they will be opening it up. You have to does not pay any charge or something like that. Okay. But I does not usually use Hyderabad. I'm good with this Mumbai part. Okay. So yeah. Yep. Okay, so this is a very important thing. Why I'm asking where is this fundamental thing? Because if you are aware, right? Remember this thing. If you are aware about this region part, okay, about this region part, in which region you are, trust me, you are going to save a lot of your money and your time and a lot of the trouble that is going to come when you start learning the AWS part. Because this region has its advantage, but if you are not disciplined enough or has is not are not has not built up a kind of a discipline or practice of looking into the region, trust me, you will be creating a lot of a mess. Okay, because trust me, I give you my initial example. What was that? When I was starting on the cloud part, I was not my teachers, my gurus keep on telling me that, Amit, the moment you switch into AWS account, be very specific about the region, in which region you're working. Okay, but I just completely ignored it. I think that, okay, this is kind of a video game. You do anything, and if you fail something, you just shut down and it will gone. I just completely ignored their warning. And the consequences were that I was charged 7,000 rupees. And I was very new to the field of, even this cloud part. Very new. And 7,000 rupees were a lot of money for me. Okay. So it was a huge shock for me that, this is a damn serious thing. Okay. So for region, why? Because the moment you will be going to, for example, some accidentally, right? You are doing some kind of a project, you are doing some kind of a server, we're creating some other region, like in the Tokyo region, right? You went to the Tokyo region for something, you created a server in that Tokyo region, right? Deployed something, played with the AMI, you made a custom AI, multiple things are there in the AWS. You are doing that, some kind of an activity, and then you said that, okay, now I do not want that. Then you come back to the Mumbai region, and trust me, you're very tired, right? It was a hectic day, a lot of things were there, you're completely tired, you just shut down your particular PC. That things in the Tokyo region are completely running all night long, and next day you will be seeing a lot of bill there. And trust me, if you just click on the region part, just see, can you just looking into the region part, you are able to see which server is running where. You will never be able to find out. So if there is a server running in the Osaka, okay, I will never in a million years be able to find out just looking into the region part. So only the way to find out whether a server is running in any of the region is to go one by one and check. That's the thing. That is the only thing. And that's why, it would be very time consuming. Okay. So that's the thing that in an organization, or in a personally also, it's a very good thing that you keep a track, kind of a build up discipline that you look into the region where you're working. And if you're switching into some other regions which you generally do not go for, what is going to happen? That, you know, uh, kind of before leaving that particular region, close all the applications, close all the resources, and then switch back to your normal this regions. Okay. No, it does not need to change to anything, right? It does not need to change your region to Virginia. Okay, it does not need to do that. Again, I'm telling you that based upon your client, okay, where that particular client is located. Like for example, right now I am in India, right? And my client, there is a client, let's say for example, he is in Tokyo. So I will be looking for a place in the AWS complete map that which portion, which AWS infrastructure he is closest to. So there is a AWS infrastructure already in place in the Tokyo. So it's good, right? So I will be deploying it. So every server that I deploy in the Tokyo region, it will be created in the Tokyo, in the AWS. The servers, you can imagine there would be servers in the Tokyo. There's some part of the Tokyo would be there, and there would be huge building, and that huge building there would be a server. And the moment I create a server here in India, the server would be physically created there, right? And then that particular person could communicate with that particular server. So I am controlling from here, but that particular server is actually created in the Tokyo. Okay. So it's based upon the client, not based upon your location. Okay. Okay. So first create a budget and then keep a track of the region where you're working. And just before shutting down, look into all the resources, or you can say all the regions you are working in, right? It would be very, very good, right? It will be saving you a lot of money, time, and resources, all those kind of things. It's very, very important. Okay. Yeah. So let's do that, guys. Let's do and let's click on it. Let's create a database. Let's click on that. Okay. And see at the left. Okay, just a minute. See here, multiple things are there. Snapshot. Okay, there is a snapshot. Snapshot means, guys, in a short backup. And whenever you see, okay, there are two terms, okay, right? Very important terms are there. You can write it down somewhere else, somewhere. There are two terms which is called snapshot and instances. Okay, snapshot, here you can see, here I am talking about choose a wrong region may lead into legal problems issues. Samipan, no legal permissions. Okay, what is a wrong region? Samipan, can you explain that? He's in France, right? And the France country is the part of the European Union, and Europe has passed, the European Parliament, right, has passed a bill with the name of GDPR. Okay, a very fantastic bill for the data privacy and protection. Okay, all those kind of things. So definitely for sure, that is also one of the thing, right? So yes, there could be legal consequences for that. So see, how do you choose a proper region? First is location of your client, not your particular location, but the location of your client. Second, the law of the land, okay, that in which your customer is. That's the second thing. Okay, the third thing is that you know uh data protection, or you can say data migration. Yeah, right. So for example, if the customer is in like France, so you have to build the policy or the structure in such a way that the data remains in the servers which are present in the France. The data would not be able to leave the location of the France. Okay, so those kind of things are there. So yes, for that, legal complications would be there. So why do they need a payment detail at the if it's a free account? So for the payment detail for only what they will be doing is that, Ragna, that they will be deleting $2 from your account. Okay, the moment you will be putting up your payment and they will be sending an OTP, you will be entering it, then reconfirming it. So they will be deducting $2 from your account. But after 3-4 days, it will be sending you back that particular thing. Why they are detecting it, that particular piece of money? For verification, for security check, whether you are an actual legitimate person or not. Okay, that kind of things they do. And then they will be remerging it, that particular money, that they will be returning that particular $2 to you, right? That's it. Otherwise it's free of cost. It will not charge you a single penny for it. Okay, yeah. So you does not have to pay a single penny for the create an account, but just for the verification purposes, they reduce the money $2. That's it. You need the payment detail. It's a free account, absolutely for sure. But in this particular account, you will be creating multiple things. For that also you need a payment detail, right? So for example, what I can do is that, see, I can go to my particular bills, right? And in the billing part, what I can do, I definitely, if there is a bill at the end of this particular month at 200 rupees, 300 rupees, I have to pay something. So I will be, for that also, you have to put the payment detail, okay? See, if it comes under the free tier one, you will not be charged, right? But if it does not come under the free tier, you will be charged for sure. And whenever, again, remember this thing. Many people think that, okay, oh, that, you know, you can, with the configuration, something which is called the T2 micro, right? And with this configuration, what you can do is that you can create as many server as you want. No, that's not the case. When you are creating a server, right? And you have used, you know, operating system, it is free tier, and that hardware configuration, it is also free tier. Then you will be seeing that, you know, I can create hundred of servers, these kind of servers. No, you not. You cannot do that. If you have created a server, remember this thing, okay? It's very, very important thing. If you have created a server with an operating system which is free tier, okay, this OS operating system which is free tier, there's the hardware which is also free tier, okay, you have used both the free tier. So when you have created one server, you will be getting a, which is a 750 hours. Okay, how much? 750 hours for this particular thing. Okay, 750 hours you will be getting for this particular server. So it means for 1 month you, or and 24 hours, 24 by 7, you can be running one. So but the moment you create another server, you are, you know, the charge, you are, the bill starts generated. Okay, so this is a limit, that you can only create one server which will be free of cost. The moment you create another, you are, you know, you are the charge starts, the AWS will start calculating the charge, okay, at the backend. Okay guys, right? So let's do the this RDS part. Okay, so this is let's create a database. Okay, this is a machine we have entered, and now we will be creating the database. All right. So easy create means easily. If you're very beginner and very new, you can just click onto it, right? But I will still not suggest it because it, you know, it's very simple. It's oversimplify the things, right? So do not go with this easy create, right? I would go with the standard create. You will set all the configuration option, including one that is available, security, backup, and maintenance. I will do by myself. In the easy create, AWS do all these things for you. Okay. And then we have something which is the engines we have to use, which kind of, you know, database we have to use, whether it's MySQL, but Aurora, MySQL compatible, Aurora PostgreSQL, MariaDB, Oracle, you know, PostgreSQL, Microsoft SQL Server, whichever you want. I'm choosing MySQL. Okay, that's what I'm choosing because it is free of cost. Oh, yep. Okay, so I have choose the MySQL, otherwise other are charged, right? So I've used the MySQL database. Okay, so I'm creating a database inside the DBMS. So I have installed this DBMS, which is already by in the AWS, and now I'm creating the database. I have choose the database as MySQL. I scroll down, right? Engine version, MySQL, with which version you want. I'm right now keeping it 8.0.32. Multiple others are there. You can choose whatever you want, right? Then we have three options: production, development test, and free tier. You can use the free tier one, but it will eliminate many resources. Okay, it will restrict you because otherwise it will be very costly for the AWS, right? So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go for the production part because I want to show you how it looks like. Okay, the moment I click on the free tier, many other things would be gone. Okay, then it doesn't make any sense, right? So for a minute, forget about this multi-AZDB cluster, right? It's a very complex thing, the clustering part. Okay, it's a new and it's a very complex thing. So I will be talking about this too: multi-AZDB instance and single DB instance. So what happens here is written: create a primary DB instance and a standard DB instance and different. So what it happens is that it is creating another presence, right? So it means that the database This is a database one, and there is another database that has been created second somewhere else, okay, in some other region or zone, sorry, in a very different zone. Okay, so what happens? A replica of your database. So if this is my database, right, in like say Mumbai, inside Mumbai only, in zone first, so an exact replica by default, I will not do anything. I will not do anything. I'm not even just touching it. Everything manage, maintain, copy, everything is a headache of the AWS. Updating also. If I make any modification here, modification should be also here. It's a completely headache of the AWS. So it's not my headache. So this is the first. I am doing everything here, and they have created a duplicate here. So if something happens to this zone I'm telling, I can extract the data here, right? That's what it means. The multi-AZ DB instance, and there is something which is the option is called single DB instance. It means that the server or database would be present in one availability zone only, right? In one availability zone. That's it. Okay. So definitely the cost goes high a lot if you use multi-AZ development instance, because now you are using the zone where you are creating the database, as well as you are also using it where the backup is also created, right? So keep that particular thing in mind. Now we are creating the instance, the DB name, okay, database name. I am keeping right now the database name 1. You scroll down and you have master username, right? Whatever name you want for when you want to log inside a particular database, whatever the thing you want, admin or something like that, you'll be typing it up. Okay. Yeah. And okay, so you can write anything, any name of the particular thing when you will be logging into it. Okay. Then what you need to do is that you need to enter the password for it. Okay, so this is your username for that particular database, that you master username, and then this is the password. So definitely there would be some kind of security in place for the database, right? Like it is not going to happen like anybody would be able to access the database, right? So definitely there should be something. So this is a username for the particular database in order to access it, and this is the password you have to enter. Okay, keep keep these things in mind, this particular thing. At least 8 principal ACI characters, cannot contain any following thing, all these things when you are creating a password. Okay, and you have to choose the hardware configuration of your instance, the instance which is being created, right? Definitely the database would be created in this kind of server, so that's what it's talking about. The DB is instance, right? Database instance, database server. So it's about the hardware configuration. What hardware configuration you want? Right now it is db.mggd large. It has 2-core CPU, 8 GB RAM, right? This is the network speed of it. You can choose anything you want, but keep this thing in mind. As these things go high, the resources, as they, the better the resources are, expensive they are also. Okay, that's it. And then we have storage. So definitely in a database you have, then you have to worry about the storage part as well, right? Because there could be some kind of storage in place, right, where the things would be stored. So this is the IOPS. Okay, this is type of storage. This is the allocated 400 GB. I do not want it 4 GB. Let's do it 20 GB, right? Minimum is 100 GB and the maximum is, okay, let's do it 100 otherwise. Okay, this is the storage. Okay, and the provision IOPS meet, it tells you about how, it tells about the performance. The IOPS tells you about the performance of that particular disk. So if the performance of any disk, anything is high, right, it means it is, if anything, any disk, hard disk or anything, IOPS is high, it means its performance is also high, right? So higher the IOPS, okay, it's input output processing per second. So if the moment it is high, so it means the performance is high. If it is low, so performance is also low, right? So you have that as well. So you can decrease it, increase it where you want, right? Okay, right. And there are other multiple things are there, like the VPC, virtual private cloud. You can choose anything, right? okay, whatever you want, okay, and multiple other things are there, right? Public access, you can also make this particular database public, yes or no, depending upon you. Then the security groups are also there. It means the firewall, you can choose the security group and all those kind of thing. You can set it up, right? There is an authentication, password authentication, password and IAM database authentication, okay, password and Kerberos authentication, right? Then there is a monitoring thing. Multiple things are there inside this particular thing. First of all, you does not need to go connect RDS and EC2. You can do that, okay? That's the thing, you can do that. But thing is that the best thing is already a server has been created. The moment you will be doing going to all of these things, and EC2 is already been created, and inside this particular using RDS, you are creating a database, right? So this outer shell is the EC2, okay? It is creating a server, and through that you are creating a database inside it and the storage and all this thing. And RDS is helping you in doing into it. Okay, so already you are using it, right? So see, we are inside the RDS. RDS is a kind of a platform which is helping us to creating the storage. It is helping us to creating the server, the database server. The database server is what? It is the EC2, right? That is what it is. So this is it. Got it? Yep. So you're already using it by default, right? So when you will be scrolling down, you will be seeing, database instance. It means this only EC2 instance. It means the server, okay? And where you create a server, you create a server in the EC2. So already that thing is been, EC2 and RDS and multiple things are already working together in order to provide this particular thing. Okay, right? So this is the RDS part. Okay, so it's a DBMS, database management. For that, you have to upload it, web pages of website, you have to upload it, you have to, Elastic Beanstalk is there. You will be uploading a piece of a code in the Elastic Beanstalk. Then you will be connecting this, you can say this database to it, right? Where this particular piece of information would be there, right? So multiple things are there, right? And then you will be having security groups also connecting both of it. So it is kind of a very complex project you're talking about. It's not a very simple thing. Okay. So first you will be going to, and you will be creating a database, right? Then you will be creating a website. Okay. And then you have to connect the both of them, right? So it's kind of a big project. Yeah. It's not the simple thing that I can explain this masterclass. It is a thing which is going to take a time, right? And then and this you have played with this RDS part. See, one more thing, guys, I'm not creating this RDS, right? Because to verify it is expensive. Okay, so what you do, if you want to practice it, keep it till here, right? Do not go and create the database part, because trust me, it will cost you a lot, right? I have seen sometime even it has the, for just creating this thing, it has $10, right? If you go by the Indian currency right now, it's like, if you take 80 to, so you will be paying 800 rupees for just this practical. It doesn't make any sense, right? So what do you do? Just practice it, understand what the other things are there. You scroll down, just do not click on this create database. That's it. The moment you click on it, your there's a bill you have to pay then, right? So yeah, that's the thing. Okay, right. Okay. So this is about the RDS, Relational Database Service. Okay, let's go back to the PPT part. Till now, what we have covered is that we have covered about multiple things. Okay, we have to cover about, how to create an account, about EC2, S3, and all those kind of things we have covered till now. Good. But now very important thing which we are going to cover is that about the monitoring and the logging, right? If you want to monitor whether everything is working fine in your particular PC, how will you do that? Through this only. Okay, so this particular thing, you are able to, find out whether everything is working properly or not, right? That's the benefit the monitoring does, right? It keeps on helping you find out whether everything is working fine or not. or if there's any kind of a problem issue is there. Okay, that is the power of the monitoring. So we have in the AWS multiple tools dedicated for this monitoring purpose, right? We have CloudTrail, we have CloudWatch for this particular purposes we have. So for example, see, okay, let's go into this thing, this cloud. The first thing we have, which is called the CloudWatch. So for example, let's say that if you want to monitor your health, right? If you want to monitor your health, there would be some kind of a criteria in place, right? Some people would watch their weight, okay, whether their weight is increasing or it's decreasing, or you have heard a lot about, you know, from the doctors that if your weight suddenly, kind of start decreasing, right, a lot, and you have not made any lifestyle modification, automatically it is, you know, you're losing weight, right? So there is something that is going wrong in your body, right? You must see a doctor, okay? So let him examine what is going on there, right? Like the same way, we measure the performance of the hard disk by measuring the IOPS, okay? So for example, if my hard disk is having an IOPS, input output processing per second, okay, of 100 in a second, it could be processed 100 bits of information, okay, if my hard disk this. Now what happens is that something happens now, downloaded some kind of file in my particular PC, and now my IOPS of my particular PC is that it is 50 bits per second of my hard disk. Okay, it means that something has changed, right? Okay, from that I can analyze that something is going wrong in my particular hard disk, that has decreases the size of my particular this this thing, right? So that's it. The same way in the AWS we have metrics, we have multiple benchmarks in place in order to find out what are the activities going on, right? Okay, so see, as the name suggests, you can see the health of that particular cloud. You can watch that thing. That's the cloud watch. Okay, yeah. Okay, so let's go to the you know cloud watch, and let me show you how it really looks like. A lot of things you can do, right? Some things even beyond the scope of this particular program. See, where CloudWatch is something, right? It really helps you in monitoring the services which is present in the AWS you're running. Okay, what is the health of that particular services is there, how good it is working, what is the problem, all this kind of thing. Okay, right? So now what you need to do is that just type CloudWatch. Oh, wait a minute, sorry, I've stopped sharing the screen. Yeah, so what you need to do is that just go to the search bar, click on the CloudWatch, and this is you will be getting. Okay, you will see here CloudWatch monitor resources and application that you will be able to see. Okay, now what you're going to do is that click on the CloudWatch part. Okay, and let it also, anything you do, anything you create, storage, server, anything like that, it kind of keep an eye on that particular thing. Okay, that's what it does. Okay, so what I'm going to do is that, okay, it's done. You have to wait at least a minute. Okay, and this is it. Here you can see something which is called the metrics. Multiple things are there, not going to it, but few things like the metrics and the alarm I will be telling you. In the metrics part, see what is happening is that you will setting up, okay, all metrics. Let me click on all metrics. See, EBS and all those metrics are there, right? And let me click on, let's see, where is the EC2? Yeah, this is EC2. Pre-install metrics. Not this, you'll get confused into this. EBS, let me see the EBS part, pre-volumetric. There is a, yeah, This is the kind of a graph you will be able to see, okay, about EC2. If you have a EC2 place, if you have a server in place, what you will do see about the CPU utilization, you will see about the disk ready and all those things, you will be able to see the graph in a graphical format. You will be able to see. So if there is an instance with the name of 1, it is disabled, the monitoring is disabled, right, and the status is stopped. So if I if that kind of run a server, and what you'll be doing is that it will be telling you each and everything about it, all this in a graphical format. You will be able to see, okay, about CPU's utilization, if there is any kind of a problem, okay, if there's any kind of a problem going on, so it will be telling you that as well, right, that there is that something is going wrong, that kind of thing. This particular thing would be telling you in the CloudWatch. So now let me tell you about this alarm part. It's also very interesting. So in alarm, okay, all alarm, right? So what you can see no alarms are there, right? You can set up the alarms if something goes wrong, right? So okay, let's say for example, you have a kind of an instance or server in place, right? Now suppose that particular server, right, that I put an alarm to it, right? So when that particular something happens, I'm setting an alarm that whenever the utilization of that particular server is like 70%, trigger an alarm, okay. So the moment what happens is that when it reaches 70%, okay, so what it will be doing is that an alarm would be generated, and I will be getting that particular thing, right? So alarms are in 3 state, I will be getting that alarm. So whenever I'm setting up the conditions, so in alarm you will see 3 states are there: in alarm, okay, and insufficient data. So if the particular CPU or that particular server, right, is below that 70%, it is okay. It means that alarm is okay, right? Whenever that particular CPU server goes as our 70% usage, it or exceeded particular alarm, right? Then it's the in alarm. Then that's the alarm state when the alarm is triggered, right? And what I can do is I can configure it. It's not configured by default, but I can configure it to send me some kind of a notification in my phone or somewhere else. Okay, that kind of thing I can also do. All right. So yeah, and this insufficient data is something else. When it's not able to work properly. Yeah. Right. So I can set up the alarm and all those kind of things. So okay, let me show you that particular thing in alarm part. When I go to the EC2 part, okay, EC2, I click on it, right? Start this particular instance failed. Okay, sorry. It will not be able to start because I have deleted its root EVS. Launch an instance, name something else, name it something like nice, anything, okay, and create it. So the moment I will be creating, there would be an alarm, okay. In previous session, if you have missed it, you can see that there would be an alarm created. See, we have set in a server where the minimum configuration I have created it. And let's wait a minute. You click on the instance part and you can see that, see, no alarm, right? Guys, can you see that? This is in a, it is in the process of making it. So see, no alarm is there. You can set an alarm here, right? Create an alarm, edit an alarm, alarm notification, okay, choose an specific topic, alarm action, what you will be doing it, okay, setting an alarm action, reboot that, stop it, whatever you want, alarm threshold, all those kind of things you will be able to do. Okay, this guide, give me a minute. Right, so you can do a lot of things with it, right? You can set an alarm, you can configure it, what to do with the alarm, right? Whether to stop the instance, right? So the moment it breaches 70% of the utilization, stop it right now, okay? Or you can just send me a notification. All those things you can set up the alarm for, right? So you can see no alarm because I have not set any kind of an alarm. Okay, all these things, lots of things you can do with the CloudWatch part. Okay, this is your CloudWatch. And there is another which is quite similar, not much of a difference is there, which some features there are difference. but they are kind of, you can say, similar in some cases, not every, but some cases they are similar. That is your cloud trail. Okay, that particular thing is called your cloud trail. So let me tell you what this particular cloud trail is. Cloud trail, is a service that is provided by the AWS, okay, and it really helps you in governing, right? And it really helps you in compliance and operational auditing, right? And also that, there is a risk auditing also. It really helps you, right? So what happens is that the cloud trail, it logs account activity, whatever the activities is going in the account, like you're creating a server, you're deleting it, right? And even anything happens inside your particular account, what is happening, good, bad, you're creating it, some kind of errors are there. So it kind of make a register of it, right? Everything. So this cloud trail, they provide a, a record of events related to your AWS infrastructure. So it's kind of, you want to do any kind of an, want to find out if something is going wrong with your AWS, what you can do is that you can go to the cloud trail and it will provide you the logs, right? Everything, what kind of resources were used, what kind, at which particular moment of time it was created. Like say, for example, at 9 a.m. in the morning, I created a server. Okay, until 9:30 it was running, and suddenly after 5 minutes, that particular piece of hardware, it get really, there was some kind of an issue, and now it failed. So after that half an hour, it was at 9 o'clock it started, 9:30 it was there, and after that it was, some kind of error over there, and it was failed. So CloudTrail will be, what they will be doing is that it will be keeping a record of all of these activities, right? That's why, it really helps you in governance, compliance, and operating auditing and all this kind of thing. Auditing, right? Because this kind of create a log. Okay. So what you can do is that these logs, which the AWS is this cloud trail creates, right? It can be delivered to the S3, right? And it, this cloud logs, you can also give it to the third party, okay? And you can use this particular thing with other services in the cloud, right? To make it a much more robust system in order to audit your system. If something going wrong, what is happening and all this kind of thing, it will really help. Okay. No. CloudTrail, I'm just showing this particular thing, photo. That's it. Okay. Yeah. Because in the CloudTrail, see, a lot of the configuration you have to do, right, before it start catching up that logs. You have to tell it where to keep it and all those kind of things. A lot of things are there, right? So just an overview I have told you about the CloudTrail part. CloudWatch, I have shown you how it is. Okay, just an overview about it. Yeah. So see, CloudTrail, it is a service in the AWS which helps you in governance. Okay, it really helps you in compliance, in operation auditing, risk auditing, right? So what does that? Anything happens in your AWS account, right? So logs are created. CloudTrail kinds of maintain those logs. So if anything happens to your account or anything happens to your resources, for example, at 9 o'clock, or let's say right now it's 9:33 p.m. Okay, in India. So right now I deployed a server, okay, and something goes wrong with the server. So the server runs for 10 minutes perfectly fine. And after 10 minutes, what happens is that that particular server is not able to work properly, okay? So that logs would be created that, okay, at 9:33 p.m., this particular server was created. It was running for 10 minutes. Then this particular happened. So a kind of a log is created so that all the things that you can access and all those kind of things you can do in the cloud trail, right? It is also a monitoring tool. That's why in the main heading was the monitoring tool. These kind of things are help you in monitoring what kind of resources you are having, what they are, how good they are running, what is their health report, right? What if something goes, something goes bad, what is the reason behind it, and all those kind of things happens in this cloud trail. Okay. Okay. Now let's talk about the serverless fundamentals. The serverless means that particular thing. Again, I've included why, because it's a very, very important thing, right? It's a new technology in the market. I mean, not latest. Definitely, it has been a year more than 2-3 years. but it is definitely more and more organizations are now adapting it. So what happens in the serverless thing is that, serverless serverless technology is that a server is present there. You're not interacting with it. That like right now in front of your eyes, I created a server with the name of nice, right? I can interact with it. I can set an alarm and do all those kind of things I can do. But in the serverless so serverless, what happens is that server is there, but you are not directly working with the server. Server is working somewhere else. You're just doing some kind of an activities, and that's it, your job is done. One of the best example yesterday I showed you about the AWS Lambda, right? AWS Lambda is one of the best example of that. So what we do is that there were two things, trigger and there was a trigger. Okay, so what happens, there was a condition also. So function was there, right? So function was a piece of a code, right? So which get executed when a trigger is there. So when there is a trigger, okay, yeah, absolutely, yep. For a minute I forgot about the function name. Yeah, sorry about that. It's okay. So there is a function and there is a trigger. So function is what? Function is a piece of a code. So to be good at AWS Lambda is only one service. You can have multiple services, right? But AWS Lambda is very, easy to use, as well as, it's very popular, right? That's why I've given you the example of this thing. So in any organizations, if anybody is working on serverless architecture, ask him about the AWS Lambda, right? You can, chit chat about this AWS Lambda, this function and trigger, those kind of topics with him, right? Yeah. So there's a trigger, okay, and there's a function. Function is a piece of a code. You should be good at programming in order to tell the particular server or the machine what to do, because they do not know, they have no idea what to do, right? So when you are typing a piece of a code, you're telling them what they need to do, right? How to do that particular thing. That is a function. But when that particular piece would be running, is the piece of a code would be running every time 24/7? No. When you will be having a trigger, when there would be some kind of a trigger you will be having, and when you will be clicking on that particular trigger, then only that particular function would be running, right? So for example, if there is a piece of a code in your particular system, okay, there is a file folder with the name of movies, okay, let's say, okay. So let me tell you another example, right? Let's say there is a folder, right, and the folder name is, let's say, or folder, or there's a file, right, with a file of Harry Potter, right? I'm a big fan of the Harry Potter, that franchise. So there is a first full, which is, I think I forgot the name of the complete which one it is. So there's a Harry Potter, some movies there, some that part of it, and now that's just that particular, there would be some kind of a VFX and a code and all those kind of things would be in that particular file, right? But this just lying there, it is not doing anything, okay? So it is your function is there, function is just present in your desktop, nothing else, right? So you can also see about this particular software from which we are taking the session, or there is a GoToMeeting which we also use for the taking the sessions. So that particular piece of a software is just lying there doing nothing. That is your function, okay? But is your function running every time? No. Okay, it is not running every time, right? There is an MS, there is PowerPoint, there is Excel, that's just lying there, is doing nothing. That is the function. It is a piece of a code which is just lying there. So in order to execute our function, there should be a condition, right? That is the trigger. So when that condition is made, the condition would be, what for the Excel would be, the moment somebody would go to that particular folder of Harry Potter and click 2 times with his mouse, and then it will be start running the code and it will be open. That is the condition, and that particular condition, when it's met, the function, the code written inside it start executing, and then the particular VLC media would be popping up, and you will be start, the movie would be start. That it, right? So there are two things: function, it means a piece of code, it means which is inside it is written what to do and how to do that, and there is a condition, there is a trigger, right, which gets set, that when the particular condition is met, execute this particular function. That is your serverless, okay? Now we have something which is called the AWS networking, okay? Very important thing inside the AWS. So inside the AWS, we have multiple things which deals with this particular networking part, right? We have VPC, virtual private cloud, which I will be also showing you a glimpse of this particular VPC part, how it is and how how it looks like. And then we have something which is called the EBS, sorry, this ELB, elastic load balancer. It is just a load balancer, right? Which you can also configure that. So it also comes in the networking part. Okay, so all those kind of things are there. Plenty of things are there. I've just, for the session purpose, I have used only 4, and the rest is Route 53. It is like your DNS. Okay, if you have never heard about the this Route 53, it is like your DNS. You can recall to that. Okay, so it's convert your IP address to your domain name and domain name to your IP address, right? Like normally, like what happens. So with this particular, this is how it function that it performs. And there's there's something which is called the Amazon CloudFront. It is a content delivery network, right? That which kind of delivers content to users with a low latency and high transfer rate. Okay, so that it is also a good tool, right? So now let's go to the VPC part. Let's do some hands-on thing with the VPC, because this VPC is a very, very important thing. Okay, yeah, it's okay. So VPC, virtual private cloud, right? Okay, if you understand this diagram, you will able to understand what is a VPC in a short term. Okay, so see here, there are 4 laptops connected, right? And there is a big cloud, blue outer one, which is a public cloud. And inside this public cloud could be anything, right? As I told you in the previous sessions, public cloud could be anything, like your AWS, Azure, or anything like that. All comes under the public cloud. And inside that particular public cloud, you have something which is called your virtual private cloud. What it means is that this particular thing is the kind of a premises or the architecture of the AWS, right? Or the arena of the AWS, right? But what happens is that AWS has provided me a separate room, a private and a separate room, which is called the virtual private cloud. Inside the public cloud, inside that public cloud, they have created a virtual private cloud. Okay, so inside an hotel where multiple rooms are there, and anyone can go and just rent, just live there. What the hotel manager is that I have kind of made a bond with the hotel manager, or I have made an agreement with the hotel manager. So now what they have done is that the hotel manager has given me a room, a completely a room he has given me, so to live there. So now that inside, even that's a hotel, it's a functioning hotel. Everybody can go and just for a week or 2, just live there and just pay that particular charges for their hotel bill, right? But I have a separate room inside that hotel. Okay, that is your VPC. Inside the cloud infrastructure, you have something isolated infrastructure, which is, and we can do anything because it's a private cloud. And what was the thing with the private cloud? You can do anything. The same thing applies here also. I can do anything. I can do anything. Whatever I want, I can do that, right? Okay, I can create my own network inside it. Okay, and all those kind of things, I can do it, right? So that's it. So this is your VPC, virtual private cloud. Very, very important thing. Okay. So that's why even many organizations, if they want to use a infrastructure of AWS or anything like that, what they will be doing is they will be using the AWS, right? But they will not go for the normal resources of the AWS. They will go for the virtual private cloud, and then there will be creating the infrastructure inside this virtual private cloud. So AWS cannot come inside this particular virtual private cloud, right? That's the thing. So it's kind of a privacy would be there. An organization can completely isolately, completely create their infrastructure, right? So as you can see from the diagram only, that this particular person has an access to the VPC, right? These all are using the AWS. He also using the AWS, but he is using AWS VPC where he can do whatever he want. But all those normal individuals are using the cloud, right? That's it. Okay, so this is the VPC, right? All right, guys. virtual private network, right? Yeah, absolutely right. The VPN stand for virtual private network. Okay, so if this particular diagram, you can easily understand how a VPN, works, right? And what it importance does it hold. Okay, so see here, if you are not able to understand, let me tell you that. And there are two scenarios. The first scenario is that there you are using a VPN provider to connect, and there's another scenario where you are, you do not using a VPN provider to connect. The first condition is that there is a user in place, and there's a, so that particular person wants to access some kind of an information over the internet, right? But if he goes directly, so definitely the internet service provider, the government, the hacker, all those people would be able to see what he's visiting. So what he do is that that particular person, he goes, install a VPN client, okay, a software, kind of a software VPN client inside his PC or inside his machine, and then through that particular VPN client, a request is sent, okay, an encrypted request is sent to the cloud, the internet service provider. So the internet service provider would never able to know that which, what is in this particular request is all about, right? And then he would, the VPN, definitely the internet service provider would be, um, you know, redirecting to the VPN server, where in the VPN server it will be decrypted, and from then the VPN server it will be redirected to the internet. It is much more complex than that, not just simple how it looks like. It's much more complex into it, right? Because in the VPN server and the internet, multiple other servers are also then in place. But yeah, for the, for simplification, I've just shown this. Okay, so this is it, right? So really what happens is that in this particular thing is, this is how the complete architecture look. So I can easily from my particular device using a VPN wants to access some kind of an information, I can easily do that. My VPN, sorry, my internet service provider will never going to know which service I used, right? That's the thing. So if you want to, kind of access very highly confidential information, then it is a very good idea that, use a VPN, okay? Otherwise, government or the hackers and all those peoples would be keeping an eye on you, right? But many people use this particular thing for terrorist activities, for committing a crime, right? They use the VPNs for accessing illegal websites, as you know, the terrorist websites and all those kind of things. So that's why Indian government recently has, or in the process of making a law that, is saying that all the VPN provider in India, what they will be doing is they will be holding the information of all the people for 5 years. So if I use the VPN, right? So my VPN provider, let's say XYZ, and I'm using it and he's providing me the service, fantastic, good. But now that particular VPN provider XYZ has to keep the data about, like for example, today, 27th of April, today I kind of send something, you know, uh, you can say today, kind of I visited a website, how long I will, use that particular thing, how long I use that particular VPN, and all those kind of things that VPN would be working. That particular VPN provider would be maintaining a database for at least 5 years, and the courts and the government can access that particular thing as well. Okay, based upon the requirement, right? That's the thing. So in the second case, you can see there is a no VPN. Okay, so the user provider is just going to the internet service provider, and the internet service provider is going to the sending the request to the internet or that place where in over the internet. So it's completely transparent. The VPN provider know that the government can access the VPN provider to, sorry, the internet provider to access provide all the information, and they will be definitely providing it. So it has also the pro and cons as well. Yeah. So it was a huge debate recently when the government came with the proposal that they are going to, kind of making a, you can say, you know, this law in place where you have to keep a database for at least 5 years of the users who are using the VPN in India. Okay. So this is about the VPN part. So what is the difference between the firewall and a VPN? So firewall is for protecting, right? So if you want to go from one system to another one, right, it's kind of providing you a tunnel, a secure tunnel that nobody else can get into, right? That's what a VPN is. But firewall is for protecting your own internal system. So if this is my internal system of my InfosecTrain, so I will putting a firewall, and it will to do is that it will be controlling or analyzing all the traffic that is coming and going outside, right? That is the difference between firewall and the VPN. Cloud charge for the VPC. See, for the VPC, if you create only the VPC and the subnets and the internet gateway, you will not be charged. If you use other than that, you will be charged for sure. Okay, guys. So now let's do some hands-on thing with the VPN part. VPC part. Okay. Virtual private cloud part. Let's do some kind of thing practical. Okay. Let's give me a minute and let me switch back to my AWS account. Okay, guys. So what you need to do is that just go to the search bar, type on. Okay. So type here in the search bar VPC, Virtual Private Cloud. Okay. So in the VPC part, just click on it. Okay. And now here what you need to do is that you need to click on your VPC. You just click on it and see I have two VPC already created. It means two isolated environment. Okay, guys. Inside the AWS infrastructure, this is how simple it is, right? Not a much a complex thing. See, these are two isolated different environment. Okay, right? That's it. So what can happen is that you can see here there are two things. Name there is nothing written here, just it's completely blank. And other it is written production VPC. In which it is written blank, it is the default VPC, DVPC, default VPC. Okay. And the second one, this production VPC, this one, yeah. So this one I have created by myself, right? So when you will be doing this hands-on thing with yourself, when you will be clicking on your VPC part, you will be seeing a VPC already been created, right? What it means is that AWS has default VPC. Again, write it down somewhere else. Remember this thing, guys. It's a very, very important thing. AWS has a default VPC in place, right? What it means, AWS has default VPC in place in every region. Okay. So let me just give me a minute. Let me take this action, delete. There would be delete VPC. Let me delete this. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I was just doing some kind of project, so let's not delete that. I have to complete that particular project. So this one, right? Let me name it something like XYZ. This XYZ is the default one, right? The moment you will be seeing, and remember this thing, one in a region, you will be having one default VPC. Okay. Remember this thing. It's very, very important. So example, if I have 10 regions in my AWS account, I will be having 10 VPCs, one in every different region. Okay. Yep. And very, very important, thing. When you are playing with a VPC, two things are very important: subnet and VPC. And guys, do not delete the default VPC. I can delete this production VPC because I have created, no problem. I can delete it. Or definitely the project I am right now working into it. It will be I have to create it again, and there would be a chaos there. But that I can handle, right? No problem with that. But this XYZ is the default VPC. Okay. Remember this thing. If you delete it, otherwise, first of all, AWS will not let you do that. But accidentally, somehow, even if you have deleted it, trust me, you are going to face a hell of a problem. You are going to face a lot and lot of a problem, guys. Okay. So never delete default subnet and never delete default VPC. You can create your own subnet, customize subnet, and you can create your own VPC that you can delete. But you can never delete the you know or shouldn't ever know never or even attempt to delete the default subnet or default VPC. So okay, let me show you how to create a VPC. You are not going to be charged for creating a VPC. Okay, no matter with that, no problem with that. Okay. So let's click on create a VPC. All right. So there are two options, VPC only and VPC and more. You click on it, and the VPC and more, you can see that you can see a kind of a graphical representation. So just click inside it, and you will be able to see all the subnet attached to it. Like in the AP South 1A, you can see the VPC name is Project VPC, and there are four subnet attached to it, right? And both the four subnets, right, in a pair of two, they are present in different availability zone. First pair is present in AP South A, and another one is present in AP South 1B, right? See, it's in a very beautiful graphical way, right? So this is it. Okay, so this is the VPC part. I'm going to click on this one, right? And name of that particular tag. Okay, cider, you can put your particular cider notation here, right? And all that's it. Okay, keep everything default and click on the create VPC. Your VPC would be created. Okay guys, that's it. So you have to give it a range, right? That's it. So once you have given the range, keep everything default, and that's it. That's how you create your VPC. Okay. Okay, see, you have multiple things in place, right? You have network group, you have your customs gateway, virtual gateway, private, right, side to side VPN connection, client VPN endpoint. You can completely create your own isolated network here. Okay, that's it. That is your VPN, right?